Lots of important, really important, critical stuff today, guys. And we're going to simplify it. That's the whole gist of today. We should be celebrating. Some of you might be drunk over this. So I know JC and I had some drinks the other night, and we're going to hear the whole story. So hopefully you'll hear it straight from us. We know a lot of you have been listening to the internet, and they've been trying to put it out there quickly. We just wanted to make sure we had all of our ducks in a row with the facts. We only deliver the facts. We don't deliver the maybes or the what we think is happening. So we'll keep you guys on track, not only today, but for the next 90 to 120 days, when a lot of this will be becoming part of your life, your new life. So, and again, I think most of it is good. JC and I went over a lot of this again last night, and we're pretty excited about everything that's going on. Your gun customers, your firearm customers, and any gun owners out there should also be rejoiced a lot of what's going on. It's not everything. It's not everything I think we wanted right now as an industry, but there's a lot of good stuff.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. As most of you know, this is us, FFL Consultants, JC and JB, also known to the industry as the Johns. You need us, you call us. We'll take care of you. We do everything industry wise. JB and I are both former retailers. We ran multi-billion dollar corporations and did what you do every day as an FFL. As, as a department within our stores. So, and then obviously my background is military and law enforcement as well. So, definitely want to get you guys in the know. A lot has happened in the last, what, JB, 48 hours, I guess?
Since Wednesday.
Yeah, so on Wednesday well, it was scheduled at 1 p.m. and then it got moved to 3 p.m. But DOJ and the ATF handed down landmark regulatory reform package. If y'all didn't catch it, I think we got the link to the video out on our website, and y'all can actually go back and view that announcement by Todd Blanch, the acting attorney general, and Rob Cicada, the now confirmed, I'm pleased to pronounce, confirmed ATF director. So Rob's a great guy. A lot of this, and I'll talk to this quite a bit throughout the presentation today, a lot of this has been ongoing since day one of the Trump administration. Obviously, nothing moves quickly in the United States government. If you're not aware of that, you certainly are now. So this has been probably about 14, 15 months in the making. And a lot of extraordinary things are happening. Nothing has happened yet. Keep that in mind. Nothing is set in stone yet. It's got to go through proposed rulemaking, a comment period, an initiation period, and I'll talk to those different things throughout the presentation today. But what were we given? We were given 34 rulemaking actions. Of that 34, 26 are what's considered notices of proposed rulemaking. These are the things that have to be posted to the public for at least a period of 30 days to comment on, provide feedback. Please think about the feedback you're providing. Think it through, articulate it, give it, the reason, the explanation behind your thoughts. Sending in a comment that the ATF should be abolished or the ATF sucks is not helpful. It's going to be dismissed and they'll be moving on. But the problem with those comments is it clogs up the process, and we don't want to clog up the process. We want to give meaningful feedback. So make sure that when these proposed rules, and we'll be letting you know when things hit the Federal Register, to go out, review what's being posted, review comments, etc., and provide that meaningful content. So, all right. So, what do these 34 proposed regulatory changes mean to you? This really impacts, and what we'll be discussing today is more of our standard community, overall FFLs operating in retail and manufacturing. There is a bunch of stuff relative to importers, exporters, and what they call broader firearm trade that is out there, and I'll touch on it a little, but I'm not going to get into the weeds because the vast majority of our audience just it doesn't apply to them, such as armor piercing ammo and importing barrels and things of that nature. It's just not it's not necessarily important to the broader community. So. Let's go ahead and kick this off. We're going to provide this deck to you, and the reason why we wanted to take a day to digest this and push something meaningful out was we didn't want to speculate. We wanted to make sure that we got all the facts straight. So this deck really provides you with the facts at a high level so you really understand what's coming at you. And keep in mind, once again, I want to put this disclaimer out there. Nothing is done yet. It all has to be promoted to the Federal Register for comment period. So keep that in mind. Let's see if my clicker is working here. Let's see. What am I doing here? Why am I not clicking? There we go. I think I'll click now. There we go. All right. So who's leading this effort? Todd Blanch, acting AG. He's actually the Deputy Attorney General, but he's acting right now in the absence of the Attorney General. And Rob Leider. Rob, he is a academic, knows the Second Amendment, just like Todd Blanch mentioned in the interview he did, or the presser that he did. He knows more about the Second Amendment than probably anybody else. And what his focus, I had a meeting with him in November at headquarters. What his focus is primarily to set things in stone that we will never see a period of zero tolerance again. We will never be able to see the weaponization of the ATF and the DOJ against the industry. That's really his focus, and he is truly trying his damnedest to make that happen. So, bravo to him. He's done a lot to simplify and kind of streamline things at the ATF, and that effort is ongoing. This is not the end, just like they said yesterday, or the day before, rather, during that presser. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. So keep that in mind. And my clicker's not working again. Gotta love technology. All right, we'll just use it this way. So the attached one-page ATF fact sheet is out on our website. Please go out there, visit. Props over to PGA, Public and Government Affairs, with DOJ and ATF. The one they posted online is a little blurry, so I asked them to send me a nice, clean, PDF version. So we've posted that out on our website for you. By all means, go out, pick it up, check it out. It just gives you kind of a high level of everything that's happening with regard to these 34 rules and the proposal status. So, and where they stand. They've actually taken each of the categories or built each of the proposed rules around categories. So they've made it categorical to help you better understand what they're trying to do. So it translates that rules list into what's important and who it's going to impact, etc., and where the changes are most impactful, to whom they're most impactful. So really, it's a watch now list. This is a checklist, more or less, for you all to monitor and comment and match how it's going map how it's going to impact your business and how you're going to implement things. So as you see these rules coming down, make sure you're kind of getting your head wrapped around how that rule change is going to impact your business workflows and processes. So that's really important. Okay, so 34 total rules, 26 notice of proposed rulemakings, 6 final rules, 1 direct final, and there's that 1 interim final rule. So let me click on OK there. Sorry about that. So most of the package is proposed, so understand that. Again, comment period, etc. So no immediate operational impact to you all. The final direct final items should be tracked for their effective dates. So that's really important, is to monitor on the final and the direct final rules. Make sure you understand when those are going to be effective. And then obviously the largest piece of this is with regard to the FFL workflow. The new 4473, electronic records, record retentions in there. We'll talk about Easy Check. We're going to talk about NOTC at a very high level. That is non-over-the-counter sales. We have a handful of FFLs in both the manufacturing and retail space. I actually was just down in South Florida visiting one of our silencer folks down there who utilized the NOTC to deliver firearms to individuals within their state without them actually coming into the business premise to conduct that transaction. A lot of changes to NFA, and then obviously enforcement definitions. We'll get into some of those. Those are really important to you as FFLs because they're talking about defining willful, which has never been done before. So putting that into place to ensure that you know right off the bat what's a willful violation. So, which we've been explaining that to you for the past 5 years. So this will set it in stone. All right, the package is best understood by the business problem for each group, right? Repeal, roll back those legally vulnerable, ineffective regulatory language. What does that mean? That means that all of those things that the Biden administration came up with during their administration, and that was called into question in front of the courts, and the courts handed down that's unconstitutional, or whatever the case may be. That bogs down the ATF from doing their important work because now they're in there defending their policy positions or regulatory positions. So they're going to roll back some of those legally vulnerable things that they put out there as a result of the political and the war against the industry that the Biden administration came up with. Modernization. All right, there's 5 rules within the modernization piece, and we'll get into that. Forms, records, transfers, license verification. That's what that's focused on. It really makes life a lot easier for some of the silly things that you were getting being cited for violations for. Reducing burden, some of that administrative stuff that you have to do, it just consumes time, and it consumes time on both sides when you really think about it. When we talk about NFA, yeah, it impacts us as an industry, things that are required of us as FFLs, where NFA is concerned. Well, adversely, you got to understand that what impacts us in the industry also impacts the NFA division. And the more time that the NFA division has to spend on those little nuanced administrative annoyances, that takes them away from approving those Form 4s, processing those Form 4s. So it's going to remove some of the administrative burden on both sides of the fence, which is really good, believe it or not. So good for us as an industry, good for the consumer because they get things quicker, etc. And some of this stuff that's being discussed in these rulemakings also impacts the non-licensee, and we'll get into that. Clarification, 12 rules define operational boundaries where industry ambiguity creates enforcement risk. What does that mean to you? It means some of the things that they're looking at doing removes some of the nonsense. And probably one of the biggest ones, and JB and I talked about it this morning, is the fact that we have folks right here in Colorado where we're based that operate in 2 different spaces within a strip center, and they have to maintain 2 different licenses for each location. It's the same address, but it's a different suite. So there's some thought around this and removing some of that nonsense that, hey, look, you're operating both spaces, you're moving stuff, there's no reason to have multiple licenses, etc. So we'll get into the details on that. And then aligning the statutes, court decisions, some of the state and commerce, that's Department of State, Department of Commerce actions, aligning with that language so there's not a lot of confusion, which we get a lot of phone calls on moving some manufacturing overseas in order to enhance manufacturing or promote more units, etc. And it's just really a pain in the butt to try to figure out, okay, what can we do? What can't we do? How do we do this? What do we need to submit? How do we get the approval, etc. So, and then some of the really kind of confusing attributes of that. We're not going to get too much into, again, the import, export, and all of that, but because the majority of our folks today are the FFLs that are retailers and local domestic manufacturing. So we just want to make sure you read through the package and understand everything and understand how it impacts you. And again, we are always open to your calls and your emails and your texts. If you need further clarification, please reach out to us. Do not treat all the 34 actions as equal. They are not. Some reshape that core FFL operation, and others conform or narrow administrative cleanup. So that's really big. A lot of this is around what the common FFL dealer does on a day-to-day basis, and that includes our what we call manufacturer retailers, guys that have the Type 7, but more of their operations are focused on retail. All right. Where the packages are most likely to touch you on a day to day. That retail transfer is big, and I'll get into those around the 4473 and Nick's alternative permits, non over the counters, which are more common with some of our NFA stuff. I don't know a lot of retailers that are doing a lot of NOTC. Straw purchase clarification, that one's a big one. And you notice here we say YHSA notice repeal. That is that Youth Handgun Safety Act. How many of you out there have been cited for the violation of not posting the Youth Handgun Safety Act poster or not handing out that brochure with every handgun? You read that right. The notice repeal, which means after 30, what did I say, JB? 34 years, 32 years, that
Yeah,
brochure being out
I
there.
think it was 1994. But yeah, how much money are they going to save on pamphlets?
Oh yeah, how much money are they going to save on pamphlets, and how much time and energy is it going to be for you all as FFLs not to hand somebody a piece of paper that they're just going to throw away? Records and inspections, electronic record keeping is going to change some of the requirements around that. They're going to revise it so that way it's clear to you. Right now, as far as electronic record keeping, you're looking at 2016-1, 2016-2, 22-1. So there's all these different rules out there. So they're going to bring all that together and make it really streamline it for you. NFA SOT, transportation, that's that Form 20 to move things across state lines. Get this, spousal registration. You have no idea how many times our clients call us and say, hey, listen, one of my customers passed away. His wife is left with all these NFA firearms. The individual didn't put them in trust, etc. How do I get this stuff to that person? So there's going to be some a new rule relative to NFA and spousal registration. Clio notifications. My God, how many times we get the phone call from an FFL that says, hey, I contacted my Clio, my chief law enforcement officer. He doesn't want me sending this paperwork to him. What do I do? Unfortunately, under federal law, you have to send it to him. So they don't want it. They've said they don't want it. ATF agrees it doesn't make sense. So there are some things there that they're going to look at removing the Clio requirement, notification requirement out of it. Tax remittance, machine gun samples, that really deals with your 7.2s that have machine guns and the requirements to get rid of those when you go out of business. They're going to put down some language on that to help out that process a little bit. Again, another one of those NFA things that ties up the local field division as well as the NFA division. Let's streamline that process a little bit to help out the FFL that's closing and the FFL that's acquiring. So import export, again, not going to go into great detail, foreign trade zones and warehousing and things of that, dual use components, that's your rifle barrels and shotgun barrels, etc., temporary to permanent imports. Not going to get too in the weeds on the import export stuff. It doesn't apply to a lot of you. For those of you that may be on the call that are import exporters, please reach out. I'll be happy to spend some time on the phone with you and discuss some of the proposed rules and what's going on in that world. And then premise licensing, I touched on it a little bit. The definition of a business premise, easy check. How many of you, and I was just at an FFL doing an inspection, how many of you have years and years of records of past licensees who have transferred a firearm to you and you filed away a copy of their FFL that they sent you? Had an FFL just a week or two ago, had boxes and boxes of licenses because he thought they had to keep them. So that's going to go away. You're going to be able to get rid of that stuff. And then the engaged in business rollback, if you remember, they came out with an ATF ruling on who's engaged in the business. Now, thing I'll talk about that is you really need to still focus on the intent of the buyer. So pay attention to that. The way this has all been laid out is to prioritize the changes. So as these things hit the register, it's going to be the priority items, right? And they're really focused on how you, the FFL, engages with the transferee, the customer. So keep all that in mind. They're still very focused on traceability of the firearm and the public safety aspect of their role and their mission. And that's really why they're coming into the fold on revising and really reorganizing their regulatory focus, is because They want to shift their focus to more of the public safety aspects and the things that make sense to protecting and promoting public safety. All right, we're going to go through these one by one. I think I have my doc up that we're going to send out. So I'm not going to touch, I don't know, 17 slides here. I think six or seven of them are more for you just to follow along in what is going on. So keep that in mind. It kind of gives you the a kind of a checklist and what you need to be focused on. So let's talk about Modernize. So this is to update compliance forms record keeping to match current technology and business practices. So O1P, Modernize Form 4473. We've been talking about it for months. It's, as far as I know, I was just out on the Federal Register about an hour ago. Still hasn't been promoted. But, but I can tell you, the new Form 4473 is going to change dramatically. It's going to be a dual purpose form. And JB's clapping. I'm not clapping yet. I'm still 50-50 on this thing. Let's see what the final thing looks like. But it's going to include that firearm handlers check, which God knows we've all been waiting for the ability to do that for background checks for employees. Um, I think some of the biggest changes are this. And if I miss something, JB, call me out on it. Um, right now, you have I don't even know how many questions are under 21, but you have a litany of yes no questions. And customers are constantly asking FFLs. What is mental defective? What is dishonorable discharge? What is renounced my citizenship? All of that is, I don't want to say going away, but it's going to shift from yes, no to basically the customer signing off saying, I am not this person. I am not prohibited. They're going to really streamline it and make it a lot easier. Now, some of us like the boxes; it keeps things organized, but that is one of the biggest ones that is going to change there. So yeah,
PC, you
yep,
mean 21 M1 and M2 might be moved to like a different place too?
yeah. Which we've been asking for how many versions now? Let's separate that out. Let's make the non-immigrant alien portion much different. And the beauty of that is transferee citizenship is going to change. And it's going to say, are you a U.S. citizen? Yes. Okay, skip the rest of the nonsense. It's not necessary. You're a U.S. citizen. It was my argument in defending so many FFLs because somebody marked M1 or M2 incorrectly. And I'm like, they're a U.S. citizen. It doesn't even apply to them. So it's going to do away with that. If Mark, are you a U.S. citizen? Yes. Okay. I don't care about the rest of the stuff. I don't need to worry about whether or not you're here on a visa or whether or not you have the proper documentation to buy a gun, whatever the case may be. Right. Firearms. Last I checked, they're moving back to the second page because, again, this is a dual purpose form. So we're waiting to see that. There's a number of other changes to it. Just streamlines it, makes it a little bit easier to read, understand. The instructions going away. We're in the 21st century, folks. People need to understand what that means. Pick up your phone, Google it. All right. Authorization for electronic record keeping for FFLs. Transfers and workflows, form logic, all that stuff. It's going to align with the electronic record keeping. Audit logs, retrieval, export, backup, attachment handling, user permissions. One of the other things for the electronic record keeping with regard to these forms is going to be relative to driver's license and CCW and attachments such as that. So they're going to address some of those attachments and the capability of adding documents to the form, which I'm opposed to. I think if our purpose with the new form is to reduce the amount of paperwork, let's not add to it by having to add a copy of a driver's license or a CCW. So we still want to see how that is going to flow. So we'll wait and see what comes of that. I'm really waiting to see on the authorized electronic record keeping how they combine 2016-1, 2, and 22-1. The requirements to maintain 3 years if you wanted to go back and scan 17 years of 4473s, but maintain 3 years in hard copy. And then the 60-day notification. I'm really interested to see what they come up with that. I think it's nonsense that an FFL wants to go electronic, but they got to wait 60 days after they notify the ATF. I have yet to have an FFL transition to electronic, and that 60-day window did something. Every field division I've ever dealt with in the notification process basically sends me back an email and says, "Yeah, great, thanks. We've got it recorded. Have a great day." And what does that 60-day window do? You know, so I'm very interested to see what they bring to the table with that. So the big one here, easy check modernization. This one is all about you receiving a copy or you sending a copy of your FFL to another FFL when you're transferring a firearm to them or you're receiving a firearm from them. And again, you guys are maintaining boxes and boxes of a piece of paper, only to have to throw it away. So what's the point of that? There's easy check. You put in their RDS, which is the first three and the last five of their FFL. You check it. If you're shipping a firearm, make sure you're either shipping to the premise address or to the mailing address. You can do either. You just have to make sure that it's a valid FFL and you're shipping to the proper address. That's it. No more copies. No more copies of FFLs. That's nonsense. Give me your RDS. Great. Your RDS matches these two addresses. Which one do you want me to ship to? Done. Put it to bed. No more paperwork. You guys are retailers, spaces of a premium. You don't need to do that anymore. So now keep in mind, once again, disclaimer, none of this stuff is in place yet. So hang tight. It's coming. That should be an easy one to push forward. So real easy one, actually. So, all right, that's modernization, right? Oh, if I get things out of my way, there we go. All right, reducing the burden. Here we go. This is the transactional friction with state and local law and final rules and all that stuff that's out there. So we want to reduce the burden. ATF wants to reduce the burden. They've heard us. Okay. Streamline interstate transport procedures for NFA firearms. What does that mean? That means that Form 20. If you have NFA items and you have a house in Tennessee and a house in Florida, you've got to notify the ATF. Now, granted, you don't have to do it for certain firearms, but you have to notify the ATF that things are either going to be there temporarily or they're going to move or whatever the case may be. So they're going to streamline that process. That relieves a burden off of not only licensees and non-licensees, but also on the NFA division as well. Because again, they have to process paperwork. The more processing of paperwork that isn't a Form 3, Form 4, Form 2, Form 1, whatever, the more likely things are going to get held up a little bit. So we want to streamline that. The joint spousal registration of NFA firearms. This one's big. Essentially, it comes down to, God forbid, somebody passes, who owns this thing? So if they're, the spouse of the deceased, guess what? They're going to create a process for that individual to be in possession of those without, once again, sending in more paperwork to the NFA division. So we'll see what that looks like. This is a big one too. 15P, remove CLIO notification requirements for NFA applications. How many times do you get the phone call from the law enforcement agency that says, why are you sending me this paperwork? I have no idea what to do with it. So that's going to be going away. Update interstate firearm transport protections under FOPA. It's Firearms Owners Protection Act. Update machine gun transfer requirements for dealer sales samples. That's that 7.2 goes out of business and you want to purchase those machine guns from them. Streamlining that process, less of a burden on us, less of a burden on NFA, less of a burden on the local field division as well. Update SOT fee obligations by location. So if you're an FFL operating multiple locations under the same EIN, even though you operate under the same EIN, you have to have an SOT for both locations if they're both licensed individually. So they're going to be looking at how do we do away with the necessity of having an SOT at both locations when both are operating under the same EIN. Remember, SOT falls under tax, not under your FFL. That's why you have to basically connect your EIN to your FFL when you stand up an eForms account, because it's all under different tax laws. All right. Eliminate triplicate submission for plastic explosives. I'm not going to get into that. We don't have many FELs, if any, on the call today. And most of our FELs that we support, for the most part, all deal with black powder. So we only have a few that in the aerospace industry that we support. So not going to get into 38F. It's not relevant to you all. So that's big for the reducing burden piece. And again, this isn't over. This is just the first part of this. So looking forward to much more. So here's the clarification piece, the ambiguity reduction across high risk areas. So and some of this is relative to the import export and importation and foreign trade zones and customs bonded warehouses and such. Not going to get into the weeds on this, but we do want to touch on a couple of things. All right. So here's one right here. Eliminate redundant marking requirements for NFA firearm makers. The maker is not the manufacturer. The maker is that individual that's doing that Form 1 for a trust or in their personal name. It is going to remove the burden, and it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to reduce the burden on the individual processing that Form 1 from having to mark that firearm with either their name, their trust, and city and state. Unfortunately for us as the industry, and we always like to promote different services and support to non-licensees, unfortunately, this is going to relieve the burden. And therefore, if you were making any money off of marking firearms for individuals, that's going to go out the door. They're not going to be required to do it anymore. So we're going to have to find a way to make up for that lost income, that lost revenue. Sorry, but as manufacturers, as remanufacturers, as FFLs today, there is already a ruling that basically states you are not required to mark a firearm that you are remanufacturing. Now that is actually going to move to the non-licensee as well. Where else? Let's see. Key enforcement signals. These ones are big to you all because I know you all get questions on this all the time. Clarifying that mental health related firearm prohibition definition, that's going to be big for the non-licensee. Well, I self admit to myself, does this apply to me? No, it doesn't. A court order didn't put you into a mental institution, etc. So it's going to clarify that definition. Clarify biological sex designation. I know a lot of you struggle with this. I'm just kidding. Most states, I think the vast majority of states don't even have a non-binary designation on identifications. This just eliminates the non-binary off the 4473. That was a policy of the Trump administration almost from day one, was to eliminate that kind of stuff. Male or female, that's what's going on the form now, so it's eliminating that. Brady Act state permit exception standards. This really helps out the states in a lot of ways. It tells them explicitly what it's going to take for their concealed carry permit, license to carry, whatever your state calls it. What it's going to take for that state to be to be exempt from having to do a background check for an individual who's in possession of a concealed carry permit. Business premise, I touched on all this already. It's just really going to clarify what a business premise is and remove some requirements for multiple licenses in a strip center and things of that nature. We dealt with this quite a bit during the pandemic. Can I transfer a firearm in a parking lot? Can I transfer a firearm from an outbuilding on the property? Things like that. So it's just going to really clarify that. Clarify straw purchase prohibition. This is a big one for you all, as well as the non-licensee too. What we're looking at here is if father and son buy a couple of firearms, but it was on the father's gun broker account. Right now, if the individual's name's not on the invoice, you can't transfer that firearm to another person. Same holds true with husband and wife scenarios. So this is really going to define what a straw purchase truly is, which is big. Last but not least, and this one is a big one, I touched on it earlier, clarify the definition of willfulness. It has never been truly defined. So this is really going to set the stage for future administrative action relative to revocation of licenses. Once this is defined and codified, it's going to be tough to just revoke a license due to paperwork errors. So keep an eye on that, watch for it, understand what willfulness is. We'll be educating you, of course, as we always do on FFLC Academy on all of these things. I think JB and JP are probably losing their mind on the number of courses they're going to have to come up with as these new final rules come down. And I know I'm going to have to read through them and check off the questions and how we certify you and all that. All right, repeal. Rescind regulatory language that failed to review, exceeded authority, or missed policy objectives. Stabilizing brace rule. Gone. Here's what I'm going to tell you about the stabilizing brace, and this was already gone, but
Oh, wait, JC, they
yeah,
just talked about this 2 weeks ago on YouTube.
yeah. Um,
No,
I'm going to,
they said it with they said the DOJ and Pam Bondi and all that stuff was going
oh
after
God. Oh, I remember that now. Yeah, whatever. That was all nonsense. I think if it bleeds, it leads, and it got a bunch of people's attention and 100 phone calls to us. And here's the deal. I'm going to tell you this point blank. I just told this to an FFL last week during an inspection. If a customer comes in and looks at a braced pistol, all well and good. The point of the brace is to have some form of attachment to the forearm to allow the shooter to fire the firearm consistently and on point, right? If a customer walks into your store and they extend the brace and shoulder it, obviously their intent is different. Their intent, from our perspective, is that they are going to shoulder fire that firearm. If that's the case, the $200 tax is done. Tell them to just form one or form three, form four, and SBR. Make one themselves. Form one it. Sell them all the parts. Lovely. The fact of the matter is, you as the FFL need to be paying attention to the intent of the consumer at all times. It doesn't matter what they're buying. So if their intent is to shoulder fire it, say, hey, please don't shoulder fire that. That's not the intended purpose of that item. If you're interested in SBR, we can get you set up and squared away. All right. Rescind the 2024 engaged in the business rule. This really doesn't apply to FFLs for the most part, but what it does apply to is clarifying for individuals who are selling infrequently, we'll call it. The auction house that they're not in the firearm business, but they are conducting auctions or estate sales, and every once in a while a gun comes into play. That's what it's going to change, because with the engaged in business rule, if they're selling guns on a regular basis or recurring basis, they need to have an FFL. So this is going to change that dynamic a little bit. Now, if you're an auction house and you're selling guns on a regular basis, or you have monthly gun sales or whatever, then you're probably going to be engaged in business and still will need that FFL. The other piece that plays into, and really it's somewhat obscure, is you get this individual that comes in and wants to buy 40 AR receivers. Well, your first question as an FFL is, what's their intent? And you need to be asking those questions. First of all, you're creating your own competition. They're probably going to undercut you. So you don't want to do that. And you want to make sure that those transfers are legitimate. So you should always be asking those questions. Revise that machine gun definition following Garland versus Cargill. That one's out there as a final rule already. So we're just setting that in stone. Again, going back to that remove Youth Handgun Safety Act notification requirement. It's going to remove the requirement for you as the FFL to hand out that brochure with every handgun. It's a waste of paper. Customers either throw them away or leave them in the box or do whatever. So, keep in mind, again, disclaimer, these haven't been set in stone yet. So just, hold your horses, keep handing out that brochure until the final rule is finalized and codified. All right, moving on. Align, conform regular text to statute, judicial decisions, and partner agency actions. This is where Department of State comes into play, business industry, or commerce control list, the Commerce Department, et cetera, comes into play. The big one here for you is that codify the next background check requirements and NFA making applications. That's really the big one here as far as you all are concerned. Again, if we have importers, exporters, the other one is that 2025 R45F update national NFA tax remittance provisions. Those are the ones that really come into play for you all. But if you have questions on aligning, please reach out. We just want to make sure that you have a good firm understanding, but unfortunately this doesn't apply to everybody, and we've got a lot to cover. So sorry about that. Oh, come on now. Let me see. All right, good. All right. Priority watch list for you all as FFLs, and we want to get to questions. So we got about 20 minutes or so left here, I guess. So O1P, Form 4473 modernization. Be on the lookout. We'll let you know when that new Form 4473 hits. I want to hear the oohs, the ahs, the thumbs up, the thumbs down, all of that stuff. O7P, electronic record keeping. That's going to be a big one. Let's see what they come down with as far as that's concerned, and understand that. If you're not electronic record keeping today, whether it's EA&D or E4473 or cloud storage, and you're interested in that, give us a call. Let's discuss it. Let's walk through your programs and processes, your practices to make sure you're ready for that transition. The retention periods, that's O8P. Right now, based on the Biden administration rule, you had to keep records for all time, everything. You had to keep it. Now they're going to move to either 20 or 30 years, and they're going to get rid of all the old stuff that's taking up space at the National Tracing Center. So that's coming down. They're going to revise the rule and tell you how long you must keep records for. Some of you are still sitting on records. I was just in an FFL 2 or 3 weeks ago that had records from the 80s, and unfortunately, they didn't realize that the rule had changed, and they could have disposed of a bunch of records. And unfortunately, the rule went into place, so they were in possession. They had to keep them all. So now we might be able to go back and get rid of some of the old stuff that it's just a pain for them to keep. They never even open those boxes. 26P NOTC transfer modernization. We get a lot of phone calls on these non-over-the-counter sales, so let's see what they come up with there. And then 32D, really easy one, easy check license verification, just shifting away from that requirement for you to get a copy of an FFL to either ship or to receive firearms from somebody. 47P is a really big one, willfulness definition. Looking forward to seeing what that language looks like. 41P, that straw purchase clarification, eliminates some of that nonsense like I talked about with, whose name is on the invoice, husband and wife situation. I want to buy my grandson a firearm, all those different type of things. So it's really going to provide clarity around that to help you all out with those types of transactions. Business premise definition, if you're operating multiple locations in the same strip center or on the same property, etc., that's going to define that clearer so you know what you have to do. Save you a little bit of money, possibly. Save you a lot of money as far as the NFA tax is concerned. 15P Clio, once again, one of those things where you're required to do it or the transferee is required to do it, and it's more just kind of a nonsense thing that you have to do because of the way the law is written. And then the NFA interstate transport piece, that really plays into your non-licensee and moving firearms either temporarily or permanently across state lines, etc. Again, it ties up the NFA division. It's kind of one of those nuanced things that you have to do by law. I can imagine how many non-licensees actually have told the ATF, that they've moved their stuff to a different state. It actually kind of scares me how many people probably don't even know they're required to do it. So, all right, what changes now versus what waits? Well, essentially, nothing changes now. What waits? All of this. All 35 proposed rules are on hold. They'll hit the register as they do. They'll be open to a comment period of at least 30 days. At that time, when it opens up to comment, please make sure you're giving thorough, thought out responses, comments, how it's going to impact you as a business. Hey, listen, if it's going to be great, this is awesome, I can't believe this is happening, tell them that. They appreciate the positive feedback just as much as they appreciate your feedback on how it's going to negatively impact you. Again, ATF sucks, ATF should be abolished, that's not helpful. Don't waste your time, it's just going to get deleted. If you want to scream it from the hill, go up on top of a hill and scream it. I don't really care. Just don't waste their time with nonsensical comments because it's just going to tie things up even more. You want to track effective dates. on all of these different things. Again, it has to be posted to the Federal Register for at least 30 days. Some are obviously going to get 60 days. Some might even get as many as 90 days. The new 4473, just a heads up, and that's going to be posted for comment. Probably going to get 60 days of a comment period for that because it is such a dramatic change. Your providers are on it. All right. They're going to be given 120 days from the date the final rule goes into effect. That means for those of you that are still on paper, you're going to have the same amount of time before that form is required to be used. And we will let you know that drop dead date. Don't make it like the August 2023 version that was revised, or 2024, and nobody paid attention to when it had to be used. And a lot of you got in trouble for using the old form. So we'll let you know about the effective dates on that, but we want to make sure that you all understand that if you are electronic 4473, your providers are going to be given a time window to update their systems and their processes and workflows for that new form. Prepare comment monitor. Talked about it. Make sure you're providing good articulate comments on how it's going to impact you, your business, your operations, etc. Don't make any changes to workflows yet. Don't make changes to your SOPs if you have them. Wait until these things go through the comment period, because some of those comments could be ingested by ATF and say, hey, that's a really good idea. We need to make that change. Okay. Don't provide premature advice to any non-licensees. Tell them, hey, listen, yeah, I know there's a proposed rule. It's not in effect yet. Tell them to monitor the Federal Register and see what the effective date will be. So we want to make sure that we're not giving any premature advice to non-licensees. Don't be that barracks lawyer, any of you in the military, or veterans out there who got that barracks advice, right? We don't want to be giving barracks advice to our customers. You want to make sure you're creating that tracker by the rule number, by the group, by the status, by the business owner. If you're a multi-unit retailer or you have a big staff, who's going to own this? You, your compliance officer? Who? Define that. All right. And you want to make sure that you're taking a look and cross-referencing that PDF that we put out there to your current SOPs so you know what's impacted and what's not. All right. Assign that ownership for compliance. IT, if you have an IT person, engage with your provider as far as your EA&D E4473 provider to understand their workflow. What are they doing? How are they going to be prepared for this and get you the software early enough so you can train your personnel, etc. Get that from them. Ask them. They're your provider. They're your solution provider. You have a contract with them. You need to make sure you're understanding that from them. And let your, look, this impacts your employees too. Get them involved in the process by all means. Get them involved in the process and get their feedback. They're the ones on the front line. Get with them, understand what they're looking at, what concerns they have, get their feedback. You shouldn't be operating in a vacuum. All right. So we're going to give you, and I'm not going to go any further than this. This is our readiness playbook. We're going to send it to you. JB, we might be able to strip this out separately and title it just your readiness playbook 30, 60, 90 days. It's going to provide you with an execution model. All right. How is it going to impact your inventory? How is it going to impact the development of the system solutions that you're utilizing, your point of sale? How are you going to communicate things to a customer, right? If you're a high performing store, you have a ton of revenue, you have a big customer base, they're going to be asking you questions. They've heard about this. It's out on the news. It's out on the wire. For Christ's sake, I must have got 20 different alerts from Google alone because I look at firearm stuff all the time. 90 days, position yourself to execute whatever's coming down the pipe, whatever goes into effect. You want to be ready for that effective date and communicating it. Again, we run into it all the time when they come out with a new 4473. People miss the drop dead date and say, I didn't even know there was a new form 4473. Well, guess what? There's going to be a new form 4473. Get ready for it. All right. You all as FFLs got to be ready to move when this stuff goes into place. And we're going to help you with that as we always do. We're going to communicate with you and let you know what's going on. So keep that in mind. You as the FFL, have the responsibility to make sure your business is ready when these things go into effect. So, with that, here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to go to rapid fire. I'm not even going to give you all this stuff. This all is going to be sent to you in a PDF. There we go. Rapid fire.
All right,
There's 300
JC.
and something of you on the call. Let's hear your questions.
All right, we got a bunch of them. So, yep, just a reminder, guys, it's recorded. It'll go out by the end of the day, hopefully by 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Check your email. It'll be out on YouTube as well. And yes, JC, we are, what JP and I are putting that playbook together. It's probably going to be out maybe by the middle to end of next week. You'll get that also. Anybody in our mailing list, I'll tell you folks, get on our mailing list. Just join right there from our homepage on our website. And we'll keep you guys updated timely and by the week, and especially during our Zoom events every couple of weeks. JC and I already discussed, we're probably going to have to, instead of once a month, we'll probably have to do twice a month. So make sure you're watching your emails, make sure you're checking your spam folders. Make sure our emails aren't dropping in there and you're missing critical events. And again, we'll give you time-sensitive info as you need it so you stay compliant. And as we always say, the ATF seems to be friendly, but they're not our friends. We love them, but they're regulators. We have to remember that and be alert to the requirements as FFLs. Never disregard that. All right. All right, JC, you ready?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
All right, buddy. All right, here we go. First question from Brian says, unlicensed modernization. Thank you for putting, and again, guys, there's a lot of stuff here, and they do fall into different buckets based on the sensitivity, priority, or how they will affect the law, if they're lawful or just administrative practice. So, on modernization, no longer requiring a certified copy of the license, obviously for transfers.
Yep.
When does this begin to apply? Sounds like right away, as of yesterday.
That is a direct final rule, yes, and we can confirm that with you that that is in place. Look, here's the bottom line with this, it's such a strange rule or regulation. You're required to receive it, or were required to receive it, but you were never required to maintain it. You get it, verify it, easy check, throw it away. The only thing we ever told you to do was if you were doing business with an FFL on a recurring basis, like your distributors or manufacturers, if you're doing a direct buy from a manufacturer, is to keep it on file so they don't have to send you one. And then once a year, purge it. You were never required, and there's the code of IOI regulations out there. There's some IOIs that said, no, no, you're required to keep a copy. No, you're not. You never were. So that is a final rule. It's a direct final rule. Let me confirm that that is in place. But yes, you no longer have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and JC says something very important. The secret code of IOI enforcement. Listen, this is all in the blender. All of this stuff is what we say in the blender. And you're going to have IOIs visiting you next month who are going to claim incompetence or no knowledge of anything you're talking about, anything we're talking about today. And they're going to keep running down their road that they like to run down very fast when they have misinformation. So be wary of that. Be alert to that. And again, we'll keep you updated with documentation, specifics, and factual information you can use in defense of your activities as you, especially if you're facing inspection over the next 6 months. This is going to be a bumpy road, guys. Just heads up. All right, JC, regarding the license needed for that certified copy, how does this affect SOTs and NFA items?
Say the question again.
Well, it just basically is asking about certification of forms for SOT and NFA items. I think really I think this question is really
He's
like
talking about the Clio certification,
it doesn't
I believe.
it just says no longer needing a certified copy, the license. I don't know what this means, but the form 4 always has to be with the firearm if it's in a non-licensee's hands, if it's been approved for a transfer.
Yeah.
The form 3, form 4 is not going away, nothing changing there.
Yeah, nothing's changing there. And if it sounds like you're kind of combining a couple things. What I will tell you is this: Form 4, Form 3. Once it's gone, it's gone. Once you've transferred that firearm, you're no longer required to have that paperwork. I know that a lot of you have been told that, they want it attached to the 4473 or you need to keep a copy of it. The only reason we tell you to even consider keeping a copy is for customer service purposes because customers lose their NFA paperwork all the time. And it's very, very challenging for them to get a copy from the NFA division. So that's really the only reason we tell you to keep a copy, but you are not required to keep a copy of that.
Yeah,
So
and with the advent of e-forms going public to non-licensees as of this past January,
yeah.
that
There-
that also
yeah.
minimizes the need.
ATF headquarters is moving very rapidly and challenging themselves to get as much into the eForms platform as humanly possible. So James Vaughn, one of the deputy assistant directors up there, owns that, and he's working diligently to make that happen.
Yeah. Andrew asked, did you say no more Youth Handgun Safety Act pamphlets required to hand out? Is that in effect yet?
That is, let me see if that's a direct final rule. Easy check. That is reducing burden, I believe. Uh, where is the Youth Handgun Safety Act? What is that under? Uh, no.
I
Yep.
think it was under
That's
penalty.
2025 R28P. That is rescinding. It is not in effect yet. So,
Yeah. Again, guys, we're going to do our best to give you a Friday update. We call it Friday FFL Facts. Watch your emails for that. And especially with this type of stuff, we'll make sure this is priority for you to understand
yeah.
effective dates, et cetera. And
And
also,
as I said earlier, this stuff isn't in effect yet. The vast majority of this stuff's not in effect yet. You got to pay attention, and we're going to let you know as well. So make sure if you're not paying attention to the Federal Register, pay attention to our emails and make sure they're not going to spam. All right. So that way we can get you taken care of and give you an update on all that.
yeah,
So
sometimes
any of
it's
you with
even,
that question of is this in effect yet? Chances are no, it's not. It hasn't even been released to the register yet.
yeah. And I added, guys, this does not eliminate anything regarding the locks, the
Yeah.
handgun locks that are
Still
part
have
of
to
it.
give locks. Yep.
Yep. Someone asked early on, can they eliminate the locks too? No, but we have a video and we'll push it out also on how to recycle your locks, how to, let your customers drop them in the bucket at the door as they exit. I mean, you can recycle those things all day long if they don't want to take them home. All right.
Just
All right,
remember,
Tony.
it's
Tony
on
says,
them. It's on them to have a lock for a handgun.
yeah, just don't let them leave it on the counter there. So.
Yeah.
Tony says, do you know a time frame when the NPRM items will be published in the register to see the full text and start the comment period?
They're coming. They're trickling in. I looked at the register today. Some of this stuff is out there. They have to push it through a process just like every other government agency. It's a bureaucracy that we unfortunately have to deal with. So they're hitting on a recurring basis. I haven't seen anything hit today. Just monitor, set yourself up for a subscription. It'll alert you anytime something is posted.
Yeah. All right. I think it's Larry here saying if we're getting rid of requiring a copy of FFL before shipping, it would be cool if we could edit our easy check profile for FFLs to opt in or opt out for transfers. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I
Yeah.
hate to tell you, that's not going to happen. We try to teach all of our FFLs, hey, listen, if you're transferring to another FFL, please reach out to them and, ask them if they're okay with receiving a firearm for transfer. That's kind of the golden rule. Don't just ship and assume that FFL. I have an FFL. You want to send me stuff? That's great. I'm going to keep it because I have an FFL for Fat D type stuff. So,
Yeah. If any of you have this issue and you don't want to get the transfers, drop us a line at info@fflconsultants.com. We have an email that gives you, basically 10 things to do to get off those lists and prevent especially if you don't want to be the recipient of unexpected transfers, especially your home-based dealers and stuff who aren't home all day. So, because UPS will leave it at the front door,
yep,
without,
even though they're not supposed to.
yeah, without a signature. Will the '03 CNR licenses be included in Easy Check? Good question
No,
there, Gerald.
nope, never going to happen. CNR licenses, they're not really FFLs. They are, but they're not. So there's only very specific firearms that they can acquire and dispose of, and they're only supposed to dispose or if they're enhancing their collection. So no, CNRs will not.
Yeah, Nathan, you've
You
got a
can
good
and you can always call the licensing center and verify that it's a legitimate CNR.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The federal ATF is finally saving some trees here. Nathan says my local Clio says just throw those things away. I don't want them. So
Yeah,
uh,
well, yeah.
that's what they do. The
I
law
don't want
was
to
the
know that.
Yeah, yeah. The law was the law, and now they're changing the law, so that'll be
Yeah.
good. All right. Nathan also says, for anyone who already had to engrave the firearms, is there going to be a process they can switch it to the original markings if they want to and remove their name and city info?
No. I
Nah,
mean, I don't know anybody that would want to do that
yeah, that's
just
hard.
because of the simple fact that number one, we don't want to do anything that obliterates a serial number. And number two, how are they going to remove it? And what's that going to look like once they remove it? I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. I asked if everyone was happy with a non-binary going away, and we got a lot of yeses. So, uh,
As I always told you, it had to say it on the license. So
yeah. Um, all right.
I'm just glad I don't have to keep up with that list anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Regarding arm braces, if the customer shoulders it in the store, do we still transfer or does that shut it down?
No, don't shut it down. Just tell them, hey, listen, please don't shoulder it. It's an arm brace. It has a specific intent of use. If you're interested, use it as a selling opportunity. Hey, listen, I see you're shouldering that. Just so you know, that's an arm brace. It falls under the Gun Control Act. I don't have to go through the NFA process with you, but if you want an SBR, let's get you hooked up with an SBR and go through the process. I think that for the most part, and definitely everybody comment, we're seeing Form fours and even Form ones coming through within sometimes a week, sometimes a couple days, sometimes 2 weeks. So it's not that long of a period. So why not just SBR it and be done?
Yeah. Gerald asks, what's the position for engaged in the business for a collector FFL 03 who buys and sells to improve his collection?
You're a CNR. You're a CNR. If you're buying and selling to improve your collection, you're a CNR.
Yeah, as long as they're CNR
Yeah.
firearms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that can't be modern. All right, Nathan says, I have someone pin and welding because he refuses to tell them what he has. I guess they're talking about f Form 1s. Um,
Pin and welding? What?
Yeah, there's some conversation here on Form Ones first, but don't. If you guys have any
Pin and
questions,
welding. He's pin and welding to make an SBR, but pin and welding the suppressor, which should be registered. They're pin and welding the suppressor, so they don't have both an SBR and a silencer. They just have a silencer.
yeah, yeah. If you guys have any manufacturing NFA questions, always go to JC at J Clark at FFLconsultants.com. All right, because you guys call me and I have to say, hey, JC's the NFA expert here. All right. Legacy says, when is it expected to have final rulings? Again, that's all.
It's going to be all different. It's going to be 30, 60, 90-day windows. And then like the 4473, there's going to be a grace period. So
Yeah, yeah. The whole record keeping thing is a couple questions here on record keeping. It's to alleviate the burden of storage in your back rooms. It's unnecessary, and most of you don't may know this. We've talked about it many times. It's simply that the ATF tracing center ran out of storage space a
more than
few
ran out.
a few
I'm
years
so
ago.
mad at NTC is going to be really happy to be able to get rid of some records and maybe some containers.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is a burden on both the industry and the ATF. Keep that in mind. They have the National Tracing Center, or the Out of Business Record Center. They've got records galore, and some of those boxes don't ever get touched. So, and keep in mind, no, there's not a registry. They have specific requirements that they must follow with regard to those records. So they literally get in a trace request. If that gun comes from an FFL that's been out of business for 20 years, they got to track down a box. Believe it or not, yes, a box and find that paper form.
yeah,
So
yeah, and
there's no registry.
that's why a trace might be delayed or pending for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why you're involved in the trace because you are the custodian of records for the federal government.
Yeah. So that's why you guys all of a sudden, under Biden had to go ahead and start keeping everything because they had no more room. All right.
Yep.
So we have to wait and see what that is. But I still think it's going to be at least 20. I think at least 20 years
I
worth of.
think we're going to go back to 20 years. And I'll be honest with you, the first question out of my mouth is, what do the stats show? What is the percentage of trace requests for firearms over 20 years and over 30 years, which is the window they're looking at is 20 to 30 years. So you want me to give you a comment? I want to know the statistics. So
All right, lots of comments here on willfulness. We'll just have to see what their final, I guess, definition is and how it affects you. Um, Alpal says, is a dedicated software to facilitate all our record keeping of sales and transfers that we recommend. Just send us an email. We have a nice list of all the who we believe are credible providers, and we say based on our visits to stores and auditing the software and also the software providers we've actually worked with to prove and verify the workflow correctness. So anyway, we do have a list. Obviously, it's unbiased. It's just who we know work, which software packages work versus we're not going to tell you which ones don't work. We don't do that. We just put a list of recommended providers. We ask you to, and a list, all those questions you should be asking depending on who you decide to go with. And they all vary based on size, activities, APIs, interfaces, POS systems, etc. So we can send that list out to you. So question, isn't interstate travel of NFA items notification only required for SBR, machine gun as an
correct,
explosive?
correct. That is correct. You're not required to do it for silencers.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We use
But that's they're going to revise that. So just hang tight.
I kind of prefer the files of stuff. Okay. Gun Store Master, so much. Yeah. Just talking more about. I'm currently on Fastbound. Fastbound's a very good basic, very good platform. You hear about it. You hear about it all the time.
We,
Did we
we
first?
support a number of different ones, and we've looked at
Yeah.
them all. So.
Yeah. Do you foresee electronic processing being required?
No, it won't be required.
There's no way the government can tell you you have to buy a computer to facilitate
Exactly.
this.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that's been codified in regulation, nor is there anything in the Gun Control Act or the National Firearms Act, which, oh, by the way, both of them were created before the internet existed. So, not going to happen. 1935 and 1968. Never going to happen.
Yeah. I have a customer that has three firearms for transfer, but wants me to ship the firearms to different FFLs. Is there any issue with doing that? And I'm assuming he's doing that to avoid some type of multiple handgun farm.
Is he buying handguns? That
Yeah,
if he's doing something like that to avoid reporting to the ATF, I would tell you do not do that.
yeah. As a standard practice, if you're ever challenged by the ATF, they're going to challenge you for your participation in any
Mhm.
illegal activity that he or she may be
That
involved
would
with.
really fall into the gray area of potential diversion, and you don't want to go down that
Yeah.
path.
Bottom line is if those guns show up in your back door from UPS from an online sale, do the transfers.
Yeah,
Don't pass it on to anybody else.
yeah.
All right, Charles says, what if a customer wants to purchase an NFA item out of the country to hunt, or purchase an NFA item out of the country to hunt? Any new laws regarding relating to
It's
those types of
yeah.
services?
There's export requirements and there's import requirements in the foreign country that they're going to. So they're going to need to look into all of that.
Which,
It's no different than we have a lot of people down south that hunt in Mexico, and there are import export requirements for that. Yes.
yeah, I'm assuming Charles is either has or is a hunter who travel or does,
Yeah.
international hunt
Yeah.
excursion activities.
And you need to make sure that if you're importing into a foreign country, that everything is done legally. Otherwise, you're going to get held up at customs for sure.
Yeah. And Charles, hey, you're a VIP. Just call JC anytime. We'll take care of your details. No problem. Opalakapon, if an 18 to 20-year-old has a valid concealed carry, does that allow them to bypass the NICS on a rifle or shotgun? Referencing NICS on the 21-year 10-day extension.
So the 10-day extension isn't for you. The 10-day extension is for Nix. And Nix has the responsibility to notify you that there's been further delay on an 18 to 20-year-old. The NICS exemption, it doesn't have anything to do with the customer's age. It has everything to do with the fact that the individual is in possession of a concealed carry permit, LTC, whatever the nomenclature is for the state. They're in possession of it, and it's within 5 years of issuance. So you're kind of tying two laws together, and that's not what you need to do.
Yeah, let me give you the question with a little more clarity, JC. So if an 18 to 20-year-old with a concealed carry permit in this state where it's permitted, can they bypass a background check for a rifle or shotgun?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even though it's not a handgun and it's a carry permit for a handgun that
Yeah.
we've verified with FBI next that a
The
concealed
type of
carry,
firearm does not matter.
right? So that's all good.
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
don't put laws together unless they're specifically called out that way.
Yeah. All right. What about taking a copy of the FFL to the post office when shipping? Will there be updates to that? My post office requires a copy of the FFL. It's going to.
No, there's not going to mailability won't change. None of this stuff affects mailability. That falls under a completely different department of the government.
Yeah, that's gonna be a challenge. I'm just reading. I mean, that's gonna be a challenge because if you don't need to see a copy anymore,
Well, you you don't need to see a copy anymore. That's what changes. The fact that your postal administrator requires you to bring a copy, that doesn't change. So you're going to have to request a copy
yeah.
if that's the requirement of the mail service.
If you're shipping via USPS, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Shipping otherwise, you probably wouldn't need anything, right?
No. No.
Um, yeah. All right. Thank you thanks, JG. All right. Shara says my post office doesn't even know what to do with the 1508. I have to tell the clerk every time to keep the form.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, and this is what we recommend to anybody using postal service is you're always going to have to educate the counter person, and even sometimes the postmaster for that or postal administrator, whatever size post office you have. Just create your own SOP that you can deliver to them every time. Just bring a copy with you. I don't know how many times that we've actually had FFLs call us and say, "Can you talk to the postmaster and tell them this is okay?" So just create your own SOP to hand to them anytime you're doing a shipment through the postal
Yeah,
service.
great question here from Brian for you, JC. Related to 32D, this states you no longer need a certified copy of the FFL to do transfers, but do you still need to request a copy of the SOT?
No, you've never required, I don't know where that even came from. You are not required to receive a copy of an SOT. Let's face facts, folks. When you submit a Form 3, if you're doing e-forms, it ain't going to let you choose that FFL if they don't have an SOT. The same holds true for a Form 3 if you're doing it on paper still, which God only knows why you would be doing that. But they're not going to approve the Form 3 if they don't have an SOT. So there's never been a requirement. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I'm sure it was an IOI visiting a gun dealer
There's
someplace.
also not a requirement for you to post your SOT on the wall with your license. So, I don't, this is the code of IOI regulations again. I don't know where this shit comes from.
But we love you guys asking because of clarity.
Yeah.
If you're asking, 100 others are asking
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
thank
just
you.
crazy.
Thank you for asking, everyone.
Yeah.
Virginia says, where can you get more information on NOTC 26P as an Illinois manufacturer? All of our sales are NOTC. I don't know what that means.
Real simple. NOT. I can send you our guidance on NOTC, or you can just go out to the ATF E-Regs website and learn about it. There's also on the current 4473, blah, blah, blah.
Virginia, I'm assuming you're remote or your customers are remote, but
Yeah.
yeah, and NLTC, not over-the-counter transfers, guys, are basically when you're getting Clio permission to an authorization to ship to, you're really not asking for Clio authorization. You're communicating with them to then verify shipment to a person who cannot make it or does not live within, I think, 50 miles of an FFL, that type of thing. So,
Yeah. NOTC, there's documentation or verbiage on the 4473 about NOTC as well.
yeah.
But
Yep.
it doesn't go into the detail that E-Regs goes
Yeah.
into.
Need more details? Give J Clark at FFL Consultants an email.
Yep.
Eric says, sorry, might have missed it, but was the Form 1 marking engraving requirement removal under the final rule?
It is going to be under the final rule, yes. Once it's been posted for the period of time required, it'll give it an effective date when that comes into play. Remanufacturing, if you're talking about remanufacturing, that ruling is already in effect. So,
Yeah, Eric, hey, again, you're a VIP. Just schedule time with JC anytime on that type of stuff. I hate to push you off when you call me with those questions, but all right. As far as spouse registration for the NFA items already owned, will the customer have to file new Form 4s for the spouse or anything like that? Any news on that?
no news on that just yet. Let's wait and see what that proposed ruling is, and we'll get more details then. But I would look, look at the reason for them doing all these clarifying and modernization, right? This is all predicated on reducing burden. So I seriously doubt they're going to come up with a ruling that enhances the burden on one side of the fence or both sides of the fence. So I would venture to guess in those situations if the individual is the executor of the state or the testamentary of the estate, then you know they're gone through probate and the estate is theirs to manage, then that stuff is going to move to them, and we'll see how that requirement's going to work.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be steered more towards beneficiaries, deceased owners, registrants,
Yeah.
beneficiaries, and family transfers to some degree.
Yeah, honestly, what I think, and this is just me and speculation, I think that maybe the way they come down with this is, look, if your spouse dies and leaves you with NFA firearms, grab that Form 4 that it was transferred to them on, staple a copy of the letter of testamentary that you get from the probate court to the back of that, and now it's yours.
Yeah, again, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Speculation, but that's how I kind of see the best way of going about it.
Yeah, yeah. And again, we'll keep you updated on anything that factually comes through that comes down the pipe. So, Art says, are there any changes to gun show purchases?
Nope. Nothing with regard to gun shows
No,
is in these rules.
no.
That's not to say that something isn't coming down,
Yeah,
but the only thing really that would apply to gun shows is that engaged in the business piece
yeah. For those without a license, right?
for those without a license. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chris says a Form 1's taking about 50 days right now, it seems. Okay, just a comment there.
Well, that's a Form 1. Bear with me.
Yeah. You look that up, JC. Yeah, Form
Yeah,
4's a
Form
take.
1's 50 days. E-forms is right around 50 days, paper is 64 days.
Yeah. If you're not on e-forms, we highly recommend e-forms.
Yeah.
Need an account.
And Form 1s can be done via e-forms.
Yeah. Rich says, am I correct assuming that these changes may cause more impact on point of contact states versus non-point of contact states? Well,
Mm, no, because the point of contact states has to do with a background
n-
check.
yeah, now guys, what we presented today were the 34 rules announced on Wednesday. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean because we have had conversation with Rob Leider and others, there are other things in the mix here that we just can't talk about, or you don't
Yeah.
know about, or
Nothing's going yet. So,
yeah, there's other stuff in the background here. You know, people asked us about assault weapons and state rules and state regulations superimposing, blah, blah, blah. All that, we're not talking about any of that stuff today, but don't think it's not being discussed,
right,
addressed,
right,
and
yep,
examined.
yep, right,
Right.
exactly.
We're pretty hopeful on some other things
Yeah.
coming down this
Until
year.
it comes down, we can't talk about it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Aaron says, we got busy and I missed all of this. Yes, we'll have the recording going out today. Aaron, if you're registered, you'll get that link and it's on YouTube probably tonight. Nathan says, well, since we have to store records for them, I want to change them for using my space for storage. All right. Nathan, thank you for being very participative today. KW says, how do we handle a non-binary customer with non-binary on their driver's license after the changes are made? And we
after the changes are made, because that was federal law, getting rid of the non-binary stuff, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you handle it just like you handled it before. You got the equipment, check the appropriate box.
Well, Well, according to the regulation, the 4473 box had to match their driver's
Match, yeah.
license.
Yep.
So
So
I'm sure there'll be information, instructions.
yeah, there'll be guidance
Yeah,
provided on,
yeah, yeah.
which I
Melissa,
think it's going to be got the equipment, check the appropriate box.
all
Sorry,
right,
I
we're gonna
don't
do a
mean to be
video
so
show. We have to do
direct.
a video short on that, Jason, with demonstration. So
It's just like the marijuana question. If you're stupid enough to ask, you're not smart enough to own a gun.
there you go. All right, Melissa says, will any FFL paperwork be required for incoming shipments? How will we properly check firearms in without an FFL?
You got easy check. When the change occurs and it goes into effect, you're going to get the RDS key or even the full FFL number from the sending FFL or the receiving FFL. You'll go into easy check, you'll type in their RDS, which is the first three and last five. It's going to pop up whether or not it's a valid FFL. It's going to give you a premise address, it's going to give you a mailing address, and you'll ask the receiving or shipping FFL which one do you want it to. And that's the way it'll be.
Yeah. Melissa, we'll handle this one with tight grasp when it
Yeah.
breaks out and provide an
Yep.
instruction guide. We will be providing a lot of instruction guides to you, what we call front-facing guides, so you can manage through and train your employees quickly and easily on anything that changes. One of what it's going to be relevant to what paperwork the other FFL is shipping to you to identify who they are and hopefully an FFL number, an RDS key, or something on there because that's going to be a change in practice, obviously.
Definitely want to send a shout out and a thanks to the Robs up at ATF headquarters and all the other folks, and they know who they are for creating all this work for us. I'm sure it's a lot of work for them as well, but all this work for us. Oh man, we're going to have our hands full for a while.
Yep. Again, in a lot of comments here, but the most important thing will be to be reading and reviewing updates, and especially when the 4473 is republished.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to publish what they believe to be the final draft for review and comment, but that will still give us and the providers out there not at least 90 days to put it in place, update forms electronically, digitally, etc. We'll have tons of training, tons of free courses online for you. Make sure you know where to get that stuff on our FFLC Academy
Yeah.
website and right off the main page. Any person propose Shara says any person proposing to mail a handgun must file with the postmaster at the time of mailing. We kind of talked through that one.
Yeah, the handgun thing is a
Yeah.
little bit different than long guns through the postal service, so you got to be careful of
Yeah.
that.
Aaron says I just got a silencer in on a form 3 that they put our other location address in the transferee section. They crossed out the address by hand and shipped it here. Is that the right license? Is the right license for us here? But should they have the wrong store address? What should
Really
I do?
depends on your EIN. Check your NFRTR. And if you don't know how to do that, give me a call. But check your NFRTR. If it's a shared NFRTR, well, I guess reach out to me anyway. If it's a shared NFRTR or shared EIN, rather, we'll just there is a field within the NFRTR that's invisible to you that tells the ATF NFA division what location it's supposed to be at. I do have a question on who who lined out the address, who lined out that information. Was it the ATF or was it the sending FFL?
Yeah, it sounds like the sending NFL. It sounds like the sending FFL. So yeah, guys, any
Yeah.
NFA questions,
Yeah, that
contact you.
sending FFL needs a lesson. So give me a call on that and let's figure out what's going on. We can go ahead and notify ATF. You can do a form 3. We might be able to work through it
Yeah,
though.
I want to applaud Nathan with his last comment here. How does it feel to finally get to give us good news instead of a bunch of new
Right,
regulations
right.
making lives harder?
Hey, listen, if anybody from the NFA division is listening, send me an email on that so I don't have to send you one.
Yeah. Yeah, Aaron, anyone on the call, guys, just visit our website. We have forms out there. You can send in your questions. Our contact information is right on fflconsultants.com. You don't have to pay for every question. We do have VIP programs that will give you a lot of extra stuff. But hey, you got a question, you want to sleep better at night, just give us a call. We literally say that on the front our homepage. We're not going to charge you $50 to give you an answer. We're here to help you and help the industry. So that's how to contact us. We made it real easy for you. Larry says, can a non-licensee now send a firearm to gunsmithing manufacturer through the postal service? Was a
Yeah.
little late, may have missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not handguns, obviously. Um, and with the whole FedEx and UPS thing, and it's obviously an opportunity for you all as business people to make a few extra bucks. We always recommend sending through an FFL, just because there's a chain of custody and all that. So,
Yep.
but yes, long guns, you can still, mailability still applies to long guns.
All right, guys, that was the last question. So listen, May 11th is our next webinar, monthly webinar. We're going to make sure the first thing we cover in every monthly webinar is updates to the 34 rules. Plain and simple. That way, if you can't stay for the whole hour or 90 minutes we usually do, you can get on and off real quick. So we will have this recording going out to you. Oh, got another question from Brian that
Yep.
says, how can a newer licensee get a new account with FedEx or UPS? I've tried to call and they won't open up new FFL accounts.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. And getting a hold of an account representative is very challenging. I will tell you that a lot of FFLs just sign up for an account and that they don't go through the process.
Yep.
So there is no way.
Yeah, and there's other options out there too.
Yeah, there are
So,
other, ship my guns and things like that. So there are alternatives for you. If you want to give us a call, we can introduce you to a couple companies.
yep. All right, folks. Listen, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks if you can make it. And I got questions, you know where to find us.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining us.
All
We'll
right.
talk soon.
Have a great weekend.